Okay, so honestly, I don't know, life's been all over the place what I've actually said yet, but the plan is changed again. We're going racing. I want to race the last 2 rounds of Supercross. All my mates, I've been hanging out with Sam Larson, the Bishop boys a fair bit, and they're racing. I'm a racer, I want to race, so I said let's just make it happen, and got the bike, just fitted up suspension. So today is day 1, we're 2 weeks out from Newcastle, so obviously I've got no expectations with the racing. I'm just going out to have a bit of fun, learn the sport, and do what I want to do what I love. So we're just going to go enjoy it. But today's plan is day 1 of training. So for me, I rather go into the track with a purpose, trying to get better. So we got Subi stuff. It's going to take me a little bit to get adapted to it, but we're here at the Bishop's track. It's not too gnarly, so I'll run you through the track. I'll bring the camera down there later on and sort of show you what's going on. And I've got some goals. There's some bigger rhythms and stuff, like there's a 3 on, off, 3, 2, I think is the big line. And I want to get myself to do that. I want to hit the triple. I'm not sure what the whoops are like. I want to hit the whoops. Just basically piece the track together and do a decent amount of laps. I want to finish today pretty tired. So we're going to go get into it. All the boys are down there already running the track in. So I better get down there. So these first few laps, the goal was basically just to hit the obstacles. I'd seen the track, rolled around the track a little bit, so I was fairly confident I could hit everything, but as you can see, we sort of did our best trying to water, but just with how dry it is, it sort of seals that top layer and then turns to, like, once it blows off, it turns to that crumbly stuff you could see on that triple up ramp just there. And once that crumbly stuff was there, then there wasn't a whole lot you could do. You couldn't really pack it in from there. It's just sort of riding it and hoping it lasts as long as it can. But I got the rhythms, I can see there. I got the 3 on, off, double. There wasn't really much consistency in it or speed, but like I said, for my first run, I just wanted to get through the track. And this track does have sort of all the obstacles in it. Like here we got the whoops. They're not big, but they're fairly sharp and hard packed, so I was happy to get through them. Here trying to obviously line up, we got the triple, little step on, step off, into your finish line double. All of it like to spec, so pretty good size. Obviously the up ramps at the actual race I hope aren't going to be falling apart, but other than that, the exercise of it was all to spec from what the boys said, so that hopefully won't come as a surprise when we actually get to the race. Like I've already hit jumps that are as big as the race day. Okay, first session's wrapped up. Track was good. We just did a bit of a water break. Everyone's out there just starting to run it in again now. So I got the rhythms I wanted to do, just need to clean them up and get consecutive laps now. There's one more rhythm, like a roll in this section here. It's inside roll over 3, 3. Currently I'm going outside 3 on, off 3, 2. And that one's fairly simple, but I'm keen to do that extra rhythm, so we'll see how we go. Alright, gonna go for a 5 lapper, just consistent. So now I got a few laps under my belt, intensity upped a little bit, like you can straight away see my speed through the rhythm. I'm starting to push through a bit more, rather than just trying to make it over the obstacles. Which that run there actually looked pretty good. It looked like I might have tagged a little, but getting towards those pockets more, which is where you get more drive. My whoops got progressively, I feel like, worse throughout the day. It just, you have those couple little moments and then it would scare me. Obviously they get drier and more cupped out as you go as well. All of this here, like this step on, step off, pretty basic. It did get beat up, but it continued to be pretty basic the whole time. This corner here, it's like turned into that powdery stuff there onto that on, but as long as I carried my speed in, I would be fine. Mixing it up here, it's cool to have those different options inside, outside. So you go outside, obviously you can slingshot down into this straight, into that wall jump a bit harder. Into that wall jump, you can see that little chatter coming in, those braking bumps. That is crazy with Supercross suspension. Those tiny little bumps just feel like you're riding a jackhammer, because it's so harsh. The forks have to be so stiff to hold up through the whoops and the rhythms. But for the most part, I feel like it was a good test for the suspension. It definitely seemed to work pretty well. Like, I could make some mistakes and go a little long, little short, and the bike would hold up. And this was day one on that Supercross suspension, so I was pretty happy with how all that felt. The little stuff like this, like being precise, so what you can't see is that's really hard packed through this section here before the whoops, and it's hard to keep that front wheel like, I'm a rider that goes off feel, and I didn't have any feel going around there because it's so hard packed, a little bit shiny and slippery, and then, like I keep talking about, that suspension stiff, so that's one part that I didn't consider so much, of like how hard it was going to be to ride on Supercross suspension. It's just a totally different feeling. So that moment there, I do remember that now. That was pretty scary. I just got a bit better drive out of the turn, and I still haven't quite learned, like, when I get a good drive, how much I need to get over obstacles. And that 3 on, typically, if you don't get a drive, you have to go off the seat pretty hard to get up on top of the table. That run, I come around and went hard off the seat, but I got a good drive out of the turn, and I nearly put the front wheel over the top, and that would not have been good news because it's pretty sharp on the back side of that table there. So that would have been a big endo and a bad ending to day one. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with all this. Obviously here, different rhythm, I missed that rhythm, so just short, must be getting tired. And that's another thing, actually, just talking about that, watching myself here, I fatigued really fast. I think either holding my breath or just that added tension from that the stiff Supercross suspension. I don't know if I was holding on really tight, or if I was just tense because I was scared and not holding my breath. But I found I had to really try to calm myself down and like reset a lot, because if I didn't, I'd struggle to piece laps together. Like straight away, like next lap I got it fine, but it's like you just can't make it, like a little mistake is exaggerated so much in this stuff, which is what I learned really quickly. So no, it was definitely cool. So I always struggle without Michaela. She makes my life way too easy with the filming and everything. So obviously, as you saw, I didn't get a whole lot, just some GoPro stuff. I am going to Sam's tomorrow for day 2 and should hopefully get someone on the camera a little bit more there tomorrow, is the plan. I'll try to organise that tonight, see what we can do. But yeah, it was solid. The track started to fall apart pretty early. It's just been so dry around here at the moment that it's hard just to keep the track up to shape when it's just got so many bikes tearing it up and it's dry. It just blows to pieces. So we had those few water breaks and stuff. I didn't like today because I didn't have the structure. That's the whole part of like feeling like day one of actually training, and I didn't have any structure to it, so it just sort of felt like I was just cruising around. And it got me a little bit nervous because I didn't feel great. I got the rhythms down, but my turns were pretty horrible and I was fairly inconsistent with the rhythms. The whoops were, I think I hit them good twice the whole day. They were just scaring me to commit in. But I've got to just lower my expectations. You guys might have to be a bit more patient with me. Obviously, I always want to do really good, but Supercross, I've got to realise that it takes time. You need to do a lot of laps to get used to it. And I just don't have the experience. So I'm just going to enjoy the process, try to get good at it. I'm always going to want to do as good as possible, and I'm going to get to race day and want to do well, but it's just sort of managing my expectations a little bit and just enjoying going out and riding and having fun doing it. So anyway, we'll see you at the track tomorrow and we'll try to do more. Day 2 out here at Sam's. Track is dry again. It's going to fall apart, but we'll get in. We're here at 7:30 right now. Boys are already riding. I'm just about to go out to the first one. Same sort of thing as yesterday, just trying to get laps in, and like there's a couple of rhythms here. There's the main rhythm, it's like 3-3 table over single. If I can get that, I'll just go. I'm just gonna go enjoy the day, still get used to this. Day 2, another GoPro voiceover. As you can see, track's even worse here at Sam's place. So he's just built this, which as you can see was just, you built it in a drought, so it was just bull dust. And what's hard to see through this video is just how dry some of these spots are. And like, you can see this berm here, you can obviously see it's dry, but that rut was dragging your lugs of the forks because it was so deep, it was just bull dust inside. And realistically there was not much consistency, as you can see there. Like, stuffed that up, didn't even hit the triple there. Again, not very confidence inspiring, just sort of holding on for dear life while you're riding around, to be honest. Okay, so this is project get a water system sorted, and doing it all super quick, running around like a chook with his head cut off. But so obviously training hasn't been ideal, just with the tracks falling apart and stuff. Sam did an awesome job building his track for us, but it's just too dry to keep it running. So out here today, I'm running around getting some old hoses and stuff we had hooked up for motocross tracks and stuff at different points. Puffing, obviously, running around the paddock here. But yeah, so we're trying to basically just get a better water system so the track will hold up. Thing about being a privateer is trying to just get quality tracks and doing it all on a budget. So to go out and buy all this irrigation stuff costs a fortune. So essentially we're trying to recycle stuff. This motocross track where I'm at today hasn't really been getting used at all for years. So I remember I did set up a bunch of hoses and stuff here years ago. So pinned it out here to get those. I got my mate Pup. He's heading out with an old pump I used to use to get me sorted with that side of things. And I'm just gonna have to turn around here. So yeah, Pup's bringing me one of those old pumps at the moment. I just got to go in, meet him, finish grabbing these hoses, and then try to get back to Sam's, set up the water and stuff, because he's prepping it with the Bobcat, but it's just useless if it's dry. So we're trying to do some water prep, pack it all in so that we've got a decent track where we can actually do motos. Because right now it's essentially, you can do a few laps, but then the laps just get sketchy, and it's not so much indicative of your how you're riding or anything. It's just that you got bull dust and it's sketchy, and like, I'm already not that skilled of a Supercross rider, so to go ahead and make it that much tougher by the track falling apart and blowing out and everything else, it makes it 10 times harder on top of that. So yeah, we're just trying to make that a better situation. MXstore has been really cool in like wanting to help privateers. If you guys haven't already seen, like, they're putting up privateer money and stuff for the Supercrossers, and then I've been talking to the guys, and they honestly, every time I talk to them, they just want to help the sport and see what they can do to help privateers, just get to the races and whatever. It's a little bit late to be looking at transport stuff, which is pretty well #1 for most of us, but they're trying to help with different track stuff, so help with different like an irrigation system and stuff. So we're talking about what we can do with those, because it's not just me, it helps out a bunch of people, you know. And then privateers, most of us sort of work together as much as we can, ride the same tracks, and try to get the most out of it as we can. And if we all pitch in, it makes it a little bit easier. So yeah. All right, made it back to Sam's. Got all the hoses, pump under there. The pump actually isn't running, so that was a bit of a flop, but might be able to fix her up is the plan. So he's done an awesome job setting all this stuff up. So that's like the main valve that's going to go to all the different loops. He's got all these pipes here going to the track, but I'll just show you a little bit of what we're dealing with, why it's been such a mission and like so hard as it's been. It's just because we are in a drought right now, and anytime you move machinery around on dry dirt, it basically turns to bull dust. So we've been trying to set the track whilst ride the track and build it in. So this here is like a part of the track, and just to give you a bit of context of just how dry it is, that we're essentially trying to pack that down, which just takes an incredible amount of water, which we don't have, and our system just wasn't quite up to scratch, I guess. Like, we weren't using the water to the best of its ability. When you got sprinklers, obviously the sprinklers
do an awesome job. You don't have to be there, but you don't pinpoint it in a certain spot, so there's a bit of water that's wasted. Essentially, what I'm doing by trying to bring all these hoses out here is stop that so that we don't waste any water just where we need it. We're just going to soak it. The spots that are already hard, we can sort of just quickly give that a quick squirt. And yeah, we should have a cool Supercross track, because it just seems like too much to just sort of just put it to waste and have to rebuild it every time because it blows apart. The more that we can pack it down, the more motos we can do, the more laps I can do, and the better rider I'm hopefully going to become.